Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money, and this is another edition. And today we are at beautiful All American Park in South Miami, Florida. This is an interesting park. It doesn't have playgrounds or anything like that. It has park benches and it has trash cans and stuff. I don't even much think it has a grill. I think it does have a grill because the last time I here, I think it had a grill. This is a spot I've been to before, and I kind of like it. It's in a neighboring community, like a neighboring community in South Miami. It's maybe if we walking, maybe a 10-minute walk from the South Miami Metro Rail station. So basically, it's like it's not that far of a walk. Driving maybe less than 5 minutes from the South Miami Metro Rail station in Sunset Place, so it's not that far from anything. Today I want to recap on what yesterday I did an episode yesterday. Remember I did it at Athlete Range Park in Liberty City. I want to recap on businesses and I wanted to tell you something. I want to talk about hurting businesses and a lot of stuff. Recently, I just found out that there was a chicken shortage and a chicken shortage in chicken wings, and I was like surprised that there is because recently, during the pandemic, there was a coin shortage, and a lot of businesses. When I used to go to a lot of businesses, they used to always say there is a shortage on coins, and they try to get people to use alternative, meaning either have exact change or use a contactless form of payment, which means debit card, credit card, Apple Pay, stuff like that, to minimize the usage of coins because I guess a lot of companies was seeing a coin shortage. And I don't know why there was a coin shortage, because that kind of struck me as a coin shortage. And I know why there's a chicken wing shortage because research it said a lot of companies, a lot of factories and farms are not producing as much chicken as they supposed to, and a lot of these companies are still without workers. There's shortage of workers. Because a lot of these workers are still out of work. Some companies they can't sell as much because they don't have the money to produce, and not only that, they don't have enough money to pay their workers to actually go and perform these things. Like a lot of these companies, they're using managers and supervisors as workers to work these companies to get revenue. And instead of paying, your hourly workers, you can get the salary people that come in that already get salary, to work. Some companies they're using their managers and supervisors who make salary that already get paid to do the work to come in and do the work. Instead of paying 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9, 10 workers to come in and you're only producing $300, $400 a week, you're losing revenue. So a lot of these companies they're losing money because of the fact that they can't produce enough money to make and produce workers. So now they have to cut costs, as in, like I said, cut costs. Like I said yesterday, they cutting costs on, you know, hiring workers and stuff like that because it's hard for them to actually do these things and it's hard for them to actually produce stuff. I'm trying to get because the lightning and stuff, it's kind of like the light and stuff. Okay, here we go. Yeah, but that's basically what it is. They're trying to produce, trying to cut costs. And with the chicken industry, like a lot of chickens are not being produced. A lot of they don't have the workers to actually keep up with the chickens because you got to keep the chickens healthy. You got to feed them, nice food, healthy foods and stuff. You got to produce chickens. And they don't have enough workers out here, just like the farmers, the farm workers, they're not, it's not a lot of work out there because number one, restaurants are not buying enough food like that they need to because they don't have enough money to actually process and buy food and stuff like that. Number two, a lot of these companies have been shut down. So let's say you like, for instance, Sweet Tomatoes. Sweet Tomatoes is one of the companies I said that had got shut down during the pandemic. Let's say you're a company that supplies to places like that. Like you're a farming company. and your main biggest customer is Sweet Tomatoes, but you do mediocre like mom and pop restaurants who generate maybe two, 300,000, you know what I'm saying, a month, but your big company is Sweet Tomatoes, which could do 10 and 12 and 20,000 a month in your revenue. Now that Sweet Tomatoes is out, you have to cut costs because now your biggest client has closed down. So now you have to rely on the small businesses to keep up the revenue, and your revenue is not going to be as big as most places is because of the fact that you know you're not the big companies and the big corporations that you used to provide service for and that you used to get your big money from is now out of service. So what are you going to do? You have to cut labor, you have to cut costs, and you have to let people go, and you can only supply to the small businesses if there are any small businesses. And so now you're cutting costs, and then a lot of these companies, they don't have the money to say, okay, we can keep you on, but it's hard, like I mean, I know some people that say they work at companies where they only getting like 1 day or 2 days out of the week, and I'm like, that's no money when your rent is almost $1,000 in rent because cost of living is going up on every day. How can you survive off of 1 or 2 days out of the week? You basically got to have like 5 and 6 jobs just to pay your rent. So that's why a lot of these people are trying to find alternative ways to try to live right and try to find a decent paying job. Like I was saying in yesterday's episode, you got people that were CEOs and vice presidents and managers and supervisors who was making maybe three, 4, 1,000, 2,000 every paycheck, maybe 15, 16, $20 an hour that was getting money, that was making a decent pay. Now they have to be reduced to flipping a burger at Burger King and McDonald's, and their rent is almost $1,000 a month. How can you survive off of rent $1,000 a month when you got car insurance, car note, health insurance? If you got kids, you got to feed your kids. You got food costs, you got what I'm saying, utilities, you got all of this telephone, cell phone, landline, you got all of this stuff. So how you gonna sit up here and actually survive off of these things? And that's another thing that I haven't said about. We're talking, the businesses are cutting costs like there's a chicken shortage. So now a lot of these companies are out here just like I couldn't understand the coin shortage. Like why is there a coin shortage, and stuff like that. But it all comes back to if you know the reason why. I haven't did my research on it. I didn't do my research, but if you know the main reason, because I mean, when I do researches online, a lot of these researches comes with 3 and 4 different reasons, but iffies, you know. So email me roundtable00@yahoo.com. You can also comment at the bottom of this page, as well. But yeah, back to what I was saying about the shortage. A lot of these businesses are short, like farming and like producing chickens and stuff like that. It's a shortage. And I agree that and I believe that it is a shortage because a lot of these businesses are not hurting like like a lot of these restaurants, especially in the sports and entertainment industry. When you go to stadiums and arenas and sports complexes and places like that, you're not seeing, what I'm saying, like if you go into a game, you may go to a game and you may not see a lot of locations open because they're social distancing, and you may not see a lot of workers back because they're social distancing. At the Miami Dolphins game, they was having where the fans can order from their seats and pick up their food and stuff like that from their seats. Which you need some, and then at the American Airlines Arena, which is now newly the FTX Arena, they was doing mobile ordering, and a lot of the people, you don't need a lot of cashiers if you're doing mobile ordering. You don't need a lot of people if you're doing mobile ordering. Just come and say, hey, I order my food. You pick up your food and you go. They don't need a cashier and stuff. They just need somebody to see the order, make the order and stuff like that. So it's like a lot of these companies are cutting corners by doing things differently during this pandemic, and they're still trying to make money, but they're trying to make money where it doesn't cost them with cost efficient, and stuff like that. And now Joe Biden, the president of the United States, is trying to get where he wants companies to actually give out free initiatives or free perks to people who get vaccinated. that's not really going to get people to get vaccinated, you know. I mean, because a lot of these people, like I said, there are people who don't want to get vaccinated because of the fact they don't know what's in the virus. And you can go search a lot of stuff and it still won't come up to, you know, to convince you to get the virus. And there's a lot of people that feel like I have health conditions, I have medical conditions, you know, there's things that's wrong with me, or I haven't been to a doctor in years. I don't know what's in this vaccine. I get, you know, and as many times as there's been side effects on this vaccines and stuff like that, and you know, a lot of people have been having side effects. So you know, it's a lot of things. So I look at it as if some of these businesses can't really afford to give out initiatives and perks to get people to get vaccinated. Uber is allowing you to schedule a vaccine through their app. I've seen it, and they allow you to schedule a vaccine to get vaccinated through their app, which I think is a good idea for Uber. And if Uber can give you a free ride to the vaccine, that'll be even better. Lyft is haven't been doing that, so I don't know what Lyft is doing, but in certain cases, yeah. But I look at it as if a lot of these businesses are hurting because of other businesses are hurting. It's not because they're not making the money. It's because other businesses that they're getting the supplies to. Like you may get restaurants that only get farm fresh fruits from local farmers, you know, and if local farmers are not producing as much as they can dish out, a lot of these businesses can't get. You know, because you got big time corporations that get their produce from big time companies like, you know, big time producing companies where they go and they get their products from like these big time warehouse companies and stuff like that. So they're not as efficient as most companies. But you get these companies that go out and they have, you know, you get these regular mom and pop restaurants that do go to these local farmers and they get their produce from local farmers, which makes it a lot more better because it's like if I have a farm that's down the street that sells vegetables and stuff and I can use them in my business, it saves me money and time because it's local and it's fresh. Better yet than to going to a big company that gets their vegetables, you know, from another farm, maybe, you know, miles and miles away. You know, I'd rather get something local. So a lot of these businesses may say, hey, I can't go and get, you know what I'm saying, open up my business because my contractors, you know, are can't produce this or can't produce that. So it's hard for me to run my business. If I run a salad restaurant and I can't, you know what I'm saying, sell salad because the company I get my greens from can't produce enough greens for me, it's hard for me to run my business, you know. And that's why I say a lot of these businesses are hurt, and not just because of the pandemic, it's because other businesses that they contract from are hurting as well, you know. Just say, for instance, Wingstop or Kentucky Fried Chicken or Churches or anything. You know, a lot of these chicken businesses, they're going to be hurting because if there's a shortage on wings, on chicken wings, how can you produce chicken wings in your business? Yeah, you can probably sell chicken thighs and drumsticks and other parts of the chicken, but if chicken wings are your main sale, how I yesterday after the show, I ended up ordering Wingstop, and you know, ooh, a butterfly. I'm sorry. I ended up ordering Wingstop, and it was, you know, I had Wingstop. It was Wingstop, you know, but it was boneless wings, but they may still have wings. It's just now that it may be a shortage to after a while they're gonna have to start using alternatives and they're gonna have to start telling people on social media platforms, hey, we don't have enough of this, we don't have enough of that, so we have to substitute this, we have to substitute for that and stuff like that. And a lot of people, you know, chicken wings are a delicacy in the urban communities, meaning the black neighborhoods and the urban communities. A lot of restaurants that serve fried chicken and chicken wings and stuff. A lot of these urban communities, and you know what I'm saying, that's what they pride on. Just like with local mom and pop, even when you go inside corner stores, some of these corner stores have little mini restaurants inside the corner stores where that people always actually order chicken and fries. And now that there's a shortage of chicken and fries, what are you going to do now that you have a lot of these companies that pride on chicken wings? You know, So you got to look at it from another perspective. This is something that's actually, is now that you're making you think, are we, and this is what I was talking about yesterday. We are far from over in this pandemic, because right now, as you see, if we are in a shortage of chicken wings, you can imagine what's next. Just at the beginning of the pandemic, it was impossible to find toilet paper, paper towel, and sanitizer. Now you find sanitizer in almost every place. The same thing with masks. Every place sell mask. Even the gas station sell masks. You come in there, hey, I ain't got a mask. Oh, he on mask is $1. You know, and then it became there was a shortage of coins. I don't know what was the reason for the shortage of coins, but I'm quite sure it was a legitimate reason. And now there's a shortage of chicken wings. A lot of these places there have been shortages because of the fact that the pandemic, and it's hard for businesses to stay afloat because of the fact as if it's hard for them to get products from their contracting businesses. A lot of these businesses like supermarkets, they have subcontractors. They have Coca-Cola, Lay's, Pringles, all of these subcontractors that come and they produce their food. If Pringles say we ain't got enough workers or we ain't got enough product to produce chips, they can't go sell chips, or they can't go produce chips to, these supermarkets, these corner stores. They can't go produce their products to other companies because they're on short notice. And that's what it was with the chicken wing situation. A lot of these farms and a lot of these stuff doesn't have enough staff and doesn't have enough resources and funds and stuff to produce all of this. So now it's like, where do we go from here? And not only that, it's in the mind setting as if a lot of these companies are still hurting. You know, yeah, you're giving out the PPP, and a lot of these companies got money from the government to save them from shutting down, but that's only from shutting down. You still got to come up out of the water. Now you're out of the water. I mean, a lot of these stimulus packages help companies from drowning, but that doesn't help the companies from out of the water. Because you still have companies that may say they got a $10,000 or $20,000 from the government to save their company, but that's to keep them afloat and to pay back expenses. Rent, insurance, stuff like that, to keep these people, to keep their company going. But some of these companies may still be still be closed. Some of these companies may be, um, losing revenue. You know, there are still companies that I see that is temporarily closed. Like I went to a mall, and it was supposed to be a restaurant opening up in one of the food courts at the mall, and just by luck, I went back a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I went back a while back. It was like earlier this year to the mall, and it was supposed to be a restaurant opening up in the food court. I went back a couple of weeks. The restaurant still ain't open, and the reason why I believe the restaurant's still not open, because they don't have the funds and the resources to actually open the restaurant. First of all, you got to get employees, and you got to get a whole staff up to open the restaurant, and then you probably got to do construction on the restaurant, because in most malls, when you see that there's a store or restaurant opening up, they usually have like a cardboard wall that covers the location, to say, okay, this location, and then writing on it that says this location will be opening soon or coming soon or whatever. So if you've been like that for a couple of months now, that lets me know that there is something in the background that is keeping you from opening up. There is something, meaning that it's a financial situation, whether it's a staffing situation or something like the pandemic. Because I know a lot of businesses, there are businesses that have opened up during the pandemic, but then there are some businesses that couldn't open up during the pandemic. Brightline, one of the high-speed rails that started a couple of years ago, is a train high-speed rail company that, for right now, it travels from Miami to West Palm Beach, and within the next couple of years, it will be traveling to Disney World. But they are temporarily closed because of the fact that of the pandemic. Now, I was told recently, not by myself, but I was informed by a not security, but I would say an informant, from, they didn't tell me, they told somebody else, and I overheard the conversation. Tri-Rail is a commuter train company that operates between Miami and West Palm Beach with 18 to 20 stops, and they're like a local train company from the Miami to the Palm Beach. One of the informants said that, and this is true, and I believe it, and I knew it. I already knew it. I just had to confirm it. Brightline is a privately owned company. Brightline gets their funding from their customers. Like Trirail gets their funding from there. It's like a group of it's like it's called a like a transportation alliance or transportation company or transportation group where they have like people from different like cities, like commissioners and maybe mayors and maybe city officials that are on this committee for this transportation. Just like Miami has an MPO, you know what I'm saying, has the Citizens Trust. The Citizens Trust is like um a group of people, group of board members that come together and that discuss, transit, you know, options, and they discuss they have transit meetings, and they discuss different things about transportation. And it's the same thing with the Tri-Rail. And with Brightline is privately owned, so they get their funding from not the government and not, what I'm saying, like they're not part of a company alliance. They get their funding from their companies. And Brightline only produces maybe 400 customers a day, even that, even if it's that, because right now they're only traveling from Miami to West Palm Beach. From Miami to Fort Lauderdale, it's a 30-minute ride, and from Miami to West Palm Beach is a hour ride. And one of the people told me when I first rode Brightline is it will be a 2-hour ride from Miami to Orlando. Now Brightline is constructing more stops. They're constructing one. They're doing a construction stop in Aventura, and they're also doing a construction stop in Boca Raton. And they're in the works of doing a stop at Disney Springs in Orlando. And then there has been some um talks about, in some kind of situation where Universal wanted to get in on this too, because Universal is like, hey, I want to get in on the Brightline situation. So you have to look at it. A lot of these companies are hurting because they don't get funding from the government. They don't get funding from the counties, and they don't get funding from cities and towns and stuff. They have to rely on revenue from their customers to keep afloat. Yeah, they probably got the little PPP or the little stimulus plan money from the government, but it's companies that are relying on, their the funding of their customers to actually get to stay afloat. Mom and pop restaurants. Now that these mom and pop restaurants, now these small businesses, they don't have the government on their side. They don't have, what I'm saying, other businesses to help them out. They have to rely on funding from, their resources. And if they don't have the resources, it's hard for them. And and I look at it as if what I said yesterday, we are not out of this pandemic yet, because we are still in this pandemic. Everybody feels like, oh yeah, we're getting back to normalcy. We're getting back to yeah, a little bit and day by day, but in the long run, we still have a long run to go. First it was the toilet paper and paper towel and sanitizer shortage. Then it became a coin shortage, and now it's a chicken wing shortage. What's next? It's gonna be, you know, what's the next shortage gonna be? It's gonna be a meat shortage. It's gonna be, you know, um, goes, milk shortage. What is gonna be next? So you have to look at it as if we are not out of this yet. And I just had to do a follow up on this because I felt like really this really makes you think some. A lot of these businesses are closing because it's not just because the government closed them and they couldn't make money, so they had to shut down. It's also because a lot of these businesses, you know, couldn't get their products because a lot of the other businesses they get their products from hurting. Yeah, you may get a company that you get like a big company, like a warehouse company where you get all your products and meat and everything from. But then you have some of these people that get their fruits and vegetables from small farms just up the street or in like local farms. A lot of these people get their fresh veggies from local farms. A lot of their people get their meats from butchers and like different local meat places. They don't go to big companies well, they deliver all these stuff from. They go and they buy their own products from a cash and carry place, like something like BJ's or something like that, like a type of place, and they get their supplies from there, and they buy their own stuff and bring it to the restaurants. They don't have a big company that delivers food and stuff. So you gotta look at it. Most of these businesses like that are hurting because a lot of these businesses, when you say, "Oh, I go to this cash and carry place," because cash and carry places are places that they go, like, a lot of businesses go in, they buy their products in bulk, and they for their businesses, and a lot of these places, they are not open, or they can't produce the product that these other businesses need to survive. So they look at it as if they can't. If you're a chicken restaurant and you specialize in chicken wings, how you gonna produce chicken wings if these companies or these farms can't produce the chicken for you? How you gonna stay afloat? You have to try to find other means of staying afloat, or it's you out of luck. And this is the one thing that people don't understand. We are still in a pandemic. We're still here, and it's hard for us to survive because we still are trying to get out of this pandemic, and everything. And then a friend of mine was saying to one of the other people at a restaurant, he was like, "My hats go off to everybody in the restaurant industry." And the person was like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because if it wasn't for y'all, we would be some starving people at home. Because now, because a lot of these restaurant workers had to go out here in the restaurant, had to go out here and work just to make money, And not only that, they had to rely on restaurants because a lot of these companies didn't do delivery services, Uber Eats, um, DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates. A lot of these restaurants didn't do delivery services because you have to pay the delivery service, and everything, because a lot of these companies, just like pizza, like restaurants, the Pizza Hut do their own delivery, so they don't need. So I've seen Papa John's on Uber Eats, but I'm like, why does Papa John needs Uber Eats when Papa John's can have their own delivery service? Like the pizza restaurant, Little Caesars do DoorDash, and I felt like, okay, I see why Little Caesars, because Little Caesars really didn't have a delivery service, and now they're trying to get into the delivery service by using a third party. But a lot of these restaurants didn't use delivery service because it was cost efficient. Why pay a delivery service $10 a delivery when you can actually, deliver the food yourself? A lot of services are starting to use their own delivery services, but it's hard because to have your own delivery service, you got to have a reliable delivery person, meaning the person has to have a clean ID record, a clean driver's license. They got to have insurance. They got to have their own car. So, it's a lot of factors in that. So they rather use a third-party delivery service to actually get their food out because of the fact that it's more convenience for them. But when you look at it, you're paying more for the delivery service. You're paying more for everything. So I look at it as if, how are you, doing things, and how is things getting out like that? So I want to know what you feel about this. I want to know how you feel about everything. Comment at the bottom of this page. You can email us, roundtable00@yahoo.com. I just want to know what's your take on this, and how do you feel about this economy? How do you feel about, what I'm saying? Do you think that the businesses in your neighborhoods are hurting? What businesses are hurting? Is the businesses hurting? Is they going to, are they surviving? What is it that these businesses are doing? Just let me know how you feel, because right now I honestly believe, a lot of these businesses are still hurting, and people don't understand that these businesses are hurting because other businesses are hurting. We fail to realize that a lot of these businesses are not just hurting because of the fact that the pandemic and they had to shut down and they're not making money. A lot of these businesses are also hurting because third-party companies that they get their products from and they have contracts with are hurting as well. So for them to keep afloat, the other parties, if you get your food or your products from third parties, if you don't make your own clothing or you make your own chicken and food and stuff like that, and you get your product from third parties to make and sell in your stores, like you get your material for your clothing or you get the food from third parties to, cook and sell in your restaurants, how can you afloat when third parties are closing and you're trying to keep afloat by keeping your restaurant afloat? And how can you keep your restaurant afloat when billion-dollar companies are out here shutting down that you get your products from? So that's the thing that I want to know. Comment at the bottom of this page. Email us roundtable00@yahoo.com. As you can see, yes, I have my mask for everybody that wants to know. I appreciate everybody for watching. This is another episode of the Roundtable Talk. Let me put this on. I am your host, C Money. Stay safe, stay blessed, be positive in this pandemic, and I will see you on the next show. Have a good day.